Welcome back to my Obi-Wan preparation, where I sit through all of the Star Wars movies and get all of those reviews up for you. And y'all better throw me some likes, because this movie's dog shit, and I've always hated this movie. And I had to watch it. Every time I have to watch this film, it's always for some completionist thing, because I'm trying to do a review. And that's what happened the last time. I think I reviewed all the Star Wars films in advance of The Force Awakens, back when I was doing my website and I still, had workable vision. And now that I don't, I'm now doing it from the perspective of a blind person who can't see this film. I would never watch this film otherwise, selectively. So this is now the third time I've seen this film, other than the first time when I saw it in theaters and hated it. Anyway, I'm Mac from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is my motherfucking review of Star Wars Attack of the Clones. I'm just angry. I'm angry about this film. It's so terrible. This film is terrible. Yeah, so I'm a blind film critic. I've seen this film before. I've seen it at least twice, like I said. I think only twice. Not at least, only. I have no desire ever to watch this film except when I'm trying to do a completionist thing like this. So, because Obi-Wan is coming out with Ewan McGregor, and Ewan McGregor was Obi-Wan in this movie, I just thought, hey, you know what? Well, might as well, right? Let's see what the audio description's like. Well, first of all, what's this movie about? I shouldn't have to tell you. I don't know. There are clones, and there's like Boba Fett and Hayden Christensen, and just it doesn't matter. This film so doesn't matter. This film is so irrelevant. Like, my recommendation to anybody who's never seen a Star Wars film would be go watch Phantom Menace. But be careful. And then read a recap of episode 2. Skip it and go into Revenge of the Sith. Just don't even bother. Or if there's like some sort of supercut where they took out every scene featuring Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman trying to, romance each other, then that maybe, if it's like just straight up action sequences, that might be a watchable, much shorter version of this film. But as it stands, with all of that, anytime somebody actually expects Hayden Christensen to act or emote, it's just, even when I'm blind and I can't see his facial expressions, I still hear it in his voice. He has no idea what he's saying. I don't know how this kid passed an audition. I seriously have no idea. No idea. None. I have no idea how somebody let him read dialogue and was like, yes, that is exactly what we want from the future Darth Vader. What in God's, what in the hell? He's so terrible. This film is written so poorly. He has the worst dialogue. Al Pacino would make this dialogue sound terrible. It's just terrible dialogue. But then when you give it to somebody who's already terrible, it just is so... Natalie Portman's not even good in this movie. Very few people actually made the bad dialogue work. Ewan McGregor is good in some scenes. Samuel L. Jackson is good because he has very limited screen time. Some of the things, they work because the characters are so small that they don't really have much to do, so therefore their impact on dialogue is limited. But I don't know who wrote this film, but I don't really care. They should never write anything ever again. I hate this film. I hate it so much. I hate that soft and sweet line that Anakin has, where he just leans in and it was so soft and sweet, and then he's looking at her. It's just it's so everything about this movie with their relationship is bad. It's so cheesy. It's so overdone. So overdone. So over the top. It's all right. But what's good about this movie? Action sequences. That's the only reason I've never given this movie a straight up F, because it does have some really cool action sequences, and it's got Yoda, and Yoda's badass, and he fights and he battles Dooku, and some of that is good. Plus, the film realized that Jar Jar is okay in small quantities, and it dramatically reduces the amount of screen time that he has. So, although we should have also realized that Hayden Christensen is good in silent doses, and found a way to make Anakin just like silent, have him speak only through sign language or something. I don't know. He should have immediately been stricken with some sort of disease at the beginning of the film that forbade him from actually having to speak. Maybe the film would have been way better. I don't know. Yeah, so I hate the film. As far as the audio description goes, I changed hands. I hope I'm still in frame. I should have thought of that before I changed hands. It's done. God. Not being able to know what's in the frame that you're shooting. Anyway, so the audio description, what I've realized where we're going with this, at least with the prequel films, because I haven't gotten into, I realize that things could change up in episode 4. I'm not going to say that Disney went through and got the same guy for every single Star Wars film ever done. But it is the same guy. From episode 1 to episode 2, same guy. I like him. He's a good narrator. My advice to him would be stop assuming that everybody knows every character and what they look like. There's a lot of assumption there, and it's very real, because they do a really good job of describing some things. For example, we get a really solid detail of the 3 monsters in the sequence where the 3 of them are chained up, where Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Amidala are chained to the pillars. You get like excellent description of what those monsters look like that come after them. And then that fight sequences, actually all the fight sequences in this are really well described. But it's the attention to detail to these 3 things that we haven't seen before. But I swear to God, when Jar Jar Binks comes out, it's just like, and Jar Jar Binks enters the scene. And it's like, well, I hope you saw episode 1, because you would have no idea what Jar Jar Binks looks like. I mean, if you were starting with episode 2, if somebody was like, skip episode 1, you could just start with episode 2. You would have no idea. There's no description for Jar Jar. He just appears in the film. Like, once a character has been described at some length, there's just an assumption that you know who Jar Jar is, and you know who C-3PO is, and you know who R2-D2 is, and you know who Yoda is, and they just stop describing them, and they describe things that are new. They describe characters that haven't been introduced, or things that have dramatically changed, like Anakin. Obviously he went from a little boy to a giant man, and that was a little bit of a change. So they make sure to let us know that he looks different, and he's got that weird rat tail thing hanging down off the back of his, I know I'm probably insulting Star Wars fans. I don't know what it was. I just hate everything about Hayden Christensen. So he could be wearing something badass and I would still hate it, I'm sure. I would still refer to it as he could be wearing the best armor in the world. That'd be like his dumb lightsaber. Like, he's so bad in this film that I don't care. I just don't care what he does. He's got some ugly ass haircut, and they make sure to let you know that he's got the haircut. So the film does a good job describing what happened to his mother. It's got some really good audio description in it, but it also assumes a lot. It assumes that you've seen a Star Wars film before. So if a character exists previously in another Star Wars work, then you don't get a description. You just sort of get Yoda, like, cool. And that's kind of what I got in episode 1 with Yoda. Like, I got more description, even though it was incorrect description, because if you want to watch my Phantom Menace video, spoiler alert on that, I don't believe that Jar Jar Binks describing him as amphibious is an appropriate description of what he looks like. Now, what he can do is different from what he looks like. He does not look amphibious. That is, I will fight to the death on that one. We can meet up and we'll get some lightsabers going, and I will use the Force like the blind guy does in Rogue One. I am one with the Force. The Force is with me. Yeah, so I don't think he's amphibious at all, and that didn't help describe him. But you have to take each film separately and stop assuming that everybody knows everything already, you know? Not because if we have a lot of kids that are coming along, these films are old. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the prequel films are old. And there are kids that are being born, and they're being born into the world where all they have are maybe the new ones. You know, maybe they were born in time for Force Awakens and Last Jedi and that stuff. And they're blind from birth, and they're going out there and they're like, oh, well, let me go back and watch the other films. And there's just a lot of assumption about knowing what all of those characters are. And I sort of fear for later on down the line with other characters who have been previously established. I think maybe they're thinking about it that people watch these in order of release. You know, like episode 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. And maybe that's why there was less description for Yoda than there was for Jar Jar. But now that they're in the film, there's like, it's just, they're there. Hope you saw Phantom Menace. So, but otherwise, I like the description. I like the narrator's voice. The action sequences are amazingly well described. And then whenever there is a new creature that hasn't existed in any other Star Wars film, you do get excellent description of that creature. I thought the description of those monsters specifically was really well done. So, it's a little bit of a give and take, I think. I can't believe I had to watch this again. It just bothers me so much. I would not recommend it. I'm not going to recommend it. This film is going to get a low grade from me. But that's not really the point. The point was what is the audio description like? I don't remember what I gave this film last time. It was like a C- or a D+. I was annoyed again by Hayden Christensen. Like, he perpetually does annoy me. So I'm going to go ahead and give this film a D+. I think that's where this film has hovered for most of my life, is in that range. Yes, there are some redeemable factors, but it's one of those things where he just ends up killing the vibe. Like, the film will get really good, and then he'll come back in, and he'll be, like, crying. Like, and he's not good at crying. Like, he's not good at expressing emotion. Or he'll be, like, trying to seduce Amidala, and it's just like, what? Why? What is happening? But yes, there's some fun parts in this. I'm not gonna lie. If we cut Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman from the movie, I would watch that movie. That movie would be amazing. If that movie was just like Obi-Wan and Yoda and like Dooku and like some random battle sequences, I know it'd be really short because Anakin's in so much of this movie, but it would also be the most badass thing because every scene they're not in, I think, is a fight sequence. So, that would be great. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments about. I know I'm going to get like Star Wars hate for this. I know there are people out there that love every single Star Wars movie and defend every single Star Wars movie to death. Listen, I love Star Wars too, and I still hate this film. So wait till we get into later films and you'll see some much higher grades. I promise. But this is the worst. This is the lowest grade you're going to see for a Star Wars film from me. I will tell you that. Nothing gets lower than Attack of the Clones. I've seen every Star Wars film. Nothing will get lower than this. So D+. It's the worst Star Wars film. That's it from me. MacTheMovieGuy.com for more reviews, and Audio Description Project will let you know what else has audio description and where it's at. in case you just don't want to watch all the Star Wars movies on Disney Plus or on DVD or Blu-ray, wherever you have them. So I watched it on Disney Plus. That's what I pay for the subscription for. So why not? I do happen to own the movies, but I also have a Disney Plus subscription. So, and may the Force, I am one with the Force. The Force is whatever. I've lost all interest. It's the Hayden Christensen syndrome.